Hello, everyone, and welcome to the English Hub. My name is David Miller, and today it's sunny and hot here in Los Angeles, California. I'm already dreaming about an iced coffee.
And I'm Jessica Martin, but you can call me Jess. Hi, friends. Yes, it's hot outside, but it's always warm and happy here with us.
So, before we start, let me say one thing. You can just relax now. Take your coffee, tea, or maybe even some juice and enjoy this time with us.
Yes. Or maybe you don't even need to sit down. You can listen to this podcast in the background while you are cooking, cleaning, jogging, driving, or even sleeping.
That's right. We are not your strict school teachers. We are your friendly company, and you can do whatever you want while listening.
And this is the magic of English learning. Background English is power. It's the key. The more you hear, the more your brain gets used to it, and step by step, your English becomes better and better.
Exactly. So, don't worry about every little mistake. Don't stress. Just enjoy the journey with us. All right, let's get into today's topic, the most common and funny mistakes in English.
Oh, I love this topic. Mistakes can be so funny, but they are also the best teachers.
Okay, let's start with the most common English mistakes we hear from learners all over the world. And let me say, these mistakes are not something to be ashamed of. They are normal. Everybody makes them. I've been teaching for many years, and trust me, I've heard them thousands of times. One of the biggest mistakes is forgetting the S in the third person. For example, he work in a bank, or she like pizza. Almost every learner does this, and sometimes it can be very funny in business situations. I remember one student said during a presentation, "He work very hard. He work every day. He work." At the end, I told him, well, if he works so hard, at least let him take an S.
Oh, yes, this one is everywhere. I think every teacher in the world hears it at least 10 times a day. And my students, they know me. I always sing, he works, she works, it works, and they laugh. But later they remember. So now, when they speak, I can see them thinking, I need the S. It's funny, but also useful. Another very common mistake is with plural forms. People often say people's or children's. I remember one student told me proudly, I have 3 children's. And I said, wow, 3 children? And he said, yes, 3 children's, 2 boys and 1 girl's. That was so sweet. And of course, after that, he never forgot that children is already plural.
Yes, plurals can be tricky. I once had a student who always added S to everything. They said informations, advice, furnitures. I told them, no. Some words in English are uncountable. But then they answered, but David, if I buy 3 tables, is it not 3 furnitures? I said, okay, yes, 3 tables, but still not 3 furnitures.
Yes, that's the thing about English. It's not always logical. And sometimes learners try to make it logical, but then it becomes funny. Another very common mistake is with prepositions. Oh, prepositions are a nightmare for students. For example, people often say, I'm married with 3 years. Instead of, I've been married for 3 years. And I said, wait, you are married with 3 years, so your husband is 3 years old?
Oh, yes, prepositions. Another one is, I'm good in English, instead of, I'm good at English. One of my students once said proudly, I'm very good in English, David. And I smiled and said, almost, you are good at English, but maybe not yet perfect in prepositions.
Oh, and the classic, I'm boring. You know this one, right? Students want to say, I'm bored, but instead they say, I'm boring. I had one student come into class and say, teacher, I'm boring today. And I said, no, don't say that. You are not boring. You are bored. But then, of course, the whole class started laughing and repeating, I'm boring, I'm boring.
Yes, that's a classic mistake. It's the difference between ed and ing. Like I'm interested versus I'm interesting. Once in a meeting, a student introduced himself, "Hello, I'm interesting in football." And I said, "Well, yes, you are interesting, but you mean you're interested."
Oh, yes. And sometimes students mix fun and funny. They say, the party was very funny, and I imagine clowns, jokes, everybody laughing, but they only wanted to say, the party was fun.
Oh, I had one student say, "My grandmother is very funny." And I thought, "Oh, wow, she must tell great jokes." But he only wanted to say, "My grandmother is fun. I like spending time with her." So I told him, "Careful. If you say your grandmother is funny, people will think she is a comedian."
Yes, words can completely change meaning with just a little mistake. Another one I hear all the time is, I very like it. My students always forget to put do. It should be, I like it very much. But they say, I very like it. And I always tease them, oh, really? Do you also very love pizza? Do you very want holidays? Okay, David, now let's talk about my favorite part, the funniest mistakes we have ever heard. Because honestly, sometimes students make mistakes that are just priceless. They make me laugh so much, and I still remember them years later. One of the funniest for me was with the word kitchen. My student wanted to say, I cleaned the kitchen, but she said, I cleaned the chicken. And the whole class just exploded with laughter. I looked at her and said, wow, that must be one very clean chicken. After that, she never confused those two words again.
Oh, yes, the chicken and kitchen mistake is a classic. I had something similar, but with sheet of paper. A student wanted to ask me for a sheet of paper, but because of pronunciation, he said something that sounded very, let's say, not polite. And the whole room went completely silent, and then everyone started laughing. I tried to keep a straight face, but it was impossible.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. That one is so dangerous. Every teacher has a story with that word. Another funny one I heard was with beach. My student said, I want to go to the bitch. I said, excuse me, where do you want to go? And she repeated, yes, the bitch with sand and water. And I said, you mean the beach. And the whole group just couldn't stop laughing. For the rest of the semester, every time someone said beach, we all smiled.
Yes, pronunciation can make such big differences. Another one I'll never forget was when a student tried to say, I'm very hungry. But instead of hungry, he said, I'm very angry. I was like, oh, really? Why are you angry? And he said, because I didn't eat breakfast. And so I explained, hungry means you need food. Angry means you want to fight someone. After that, we used it as a joke. Every time someone forgot their lunch, they said, careful, I'm angry today.
Oh, yes, I had the same. Students mixing angry and hungry is so common, and it always leads to funny conversations. Another unforgettable one was from a presentation. My student wanted to say, I love cooking my family and my dog. And everybody just looked shocked. I said, wait. You cook your family and your dog? And then I explained, you need commas. It should be, I love cooking, comma, my family, and my dog. That tiny comma really saved the family.
Oh my God, yes. Punctuation mistakes can be the funniest. I had one student write, let's eat grandma, instead of let's eat grandma. And I told them, careful, without that comma, you are eating your poor grandma. They never forgot commas after that.
Exactly. Punctuation saves lives. And here's another one. My student wanted to say, I don't have a watch. But instead, she said, I don't have a wife. And I said, oh, okay, but why do you need one right now? The class laughed for 5 minutes straight. After that, she corrected herself. I mean, watch, watch.
Oh, yes, yes, I had a student who confused kitchen and wife. He said, "My wife is very small. I like my wife." But he wanted to say, "My kitchen is very small." I was like, wow, that's a very unusual compliment for your wife.
I also had one student say, I wear glasses because my eyes are very lazy. He meant to say weak or bad, but he said lazy. And I just imagined his eyes sitting on the sofa watching TV.
Oh, that's brilliant. Lazy eyes. That's going to stay with me. And pronunciation mistakes with focus are also very funny. One student shouted in the class, "Teacher, we must focus." He only wanted to say focus, but, you know, I said, yes, yes, let's focus. Careful with pronunciation, please.
Oh, I've heard that too. It's impossible not to laugh, even as a teacher. And the last one, David, you will love this. My student wanted to say, I love watching soap operas. But he said, I love washing soap operas. And I just imagined him with soap and water cleaning TV shows.
Oh my God, Jess, that's perfect. Washing soap operas. These mistakes are really treasures. They make learning English fun. And I think our listeners also make mistakes like these. So if you are listening now and thinking, oh, I've said something like that, don't worry. Mistakes are part of learning. And sometimes they're the best part.
Yes, exactly. Mistakes make stories, and stories make memories, and memories help you never forget. That's why we love mistakes. And honestly, English without mistakes would be very boring.
All right, Jess. Now let's talk about one of the biggest headaches for English learners, tenses. Oh my God, I think 90% of mistakes I hear are with tenses. And sometimes they are so funny, I can't stop laughing. For example, the classic, yesterday I go to the cinema. I hear this all the time, and I always say, oh, really? You go yesterday? You time traveler? And the students laugh, but then they remember, no, it should be, I went to the cinema. Simple past.
Yes. My favorite is when students mix past and present in the same sentence. One of mine once said, yesterday I wake up at 7, I eat breakfast, and then I go to school and studied. I was like, wait. So first it's present, then past, then future maybe? What's happening in your timeline? I told them you need to decide. Either it's yesterday, so everything must be past, or it's today. And the student answered, but teacher, my life is very complicated.
Oh yes, complicated tense life. Another one I heard, tomorrow I go to doctor. I said, okay, but tomorrow is future, so I will go to the doctor. And the student said, but David, tomorrow is not now, but also not future. It is tomorrow. I said, yes, exactly. That's why you need will. Trust me, English is crazy, but it works.
Oh, I had one student who always used will in every sentence. He said, yesterday I will go shopping. I said, wait. Yesterday and will? That's impossible, unless you are Dr. Strange. He looked at me very seriously and said, teacher, I am not Dr. Strange. I am student.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And then there is the present perfect nightmare. Students mix it all the time. They say things like, I have seen him yesterday. And I say, no. If you say yesterday, it's simple past. You can't marry yesterday and have seen. And one student argued with me, but David, I have seen him yesterday with my own eyes. I said, okay. I believe you saw him, but grammar doesn't believe you.
Yes, present perfect is like the monster under the bed for learners. They are always afraid of it, and when they try to use it, it comes out wrong. I once asked, "Have you ever been to Paris?" And my student answered, "Yes, I was there 2 times in my life, and I will be there yesterday too." I said, "Wow, you will be there yesterday? You must teach me your magic."
Yes, exactly. And continuous forms can also create comedy. One student said, "I'm going yesterday to my grandmother." And I said, "Really? You're going yesterday? That's amazing. Please tell me the lottery numbers too."
Yes, David, my student once said, "I am living here since 5 years." And I said, "Wow, really? You're living, but are you alive?" It should be, "I've lived here for 5 years," or "I've been living here for 5 years." But "I am living since 5 years" just sounds like a soap opera title.
Oh, that's brilliant. And the funniest tense mistake I ever heard, my student wanted to say, "When I was a child, I played football every day." But he said, "When I am a child, I was play football every day." And I just sat there trying to imagine, so are you a child now or were you a child in the past? The timeline was completely broken.
Yes, broken timeline is the best. My student once said, "When I will be young, I played with dolls." And I said, "Wait, you will be young in the future? Amazing. Please tell me how you do it because I also want to will be young."
Oh, Jess, that's fantastic. Honestly, I think tense mistakes are the best comedy in classrooms. And the good news is, when students make these funny mistakes, they never forget them again. That's the power of laughter.
Exactly. Mistakes are not just mistakes, they are little stories. And every time you laugh at your own mistake, you actually learn faster. So, dear listeners, if you say, "Yesterday I go," or "Tomorrow I went," don't worry, just laugh, correct yourself, and keep going. That's how English becomes part of your life.
Well, Jess, I think we could talk about English mistakes forever. But maybe it's time to stop before our listeners get too boring.
Yes, David, let's stop before we start making even more mistakes. But seriously, guys, now it's your turn. We want to hear from you.
Yes, please share in the comments the funniest or most common English mistakes you have made. Trust me, everyone has them. Don't be shy, we've all been there. And maybe your story will make someone else laugh and learn at the same time.
Exactly. And remember, making mistakes is part of the journey. So write them down, laugh about them, and let's learn together.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us.
And of course, subscribe to the English Hub so you don't miss our next episodes.
We'll be back very soon with more English, more laughter, and maybe even more mistakes.
With definitely more mistakes. So see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone, and keep practicing English every day. See you next time.